My Lords, I rise to speak to motion 274B in my name, and I draw attention to my interest in the register. Community energy is wildly popular in the country. It's extremely popular with all sorts of people, and I find it very puzzling why the government doesn't really fall over backwards to make it easier and more simple for people. I don't want to get into the arguments about onshore wind, but surely one of the ways that you mitigate any community concerns about renewable energy in their area is to give people a stake in it. So it's not just about money, but it's about owning something. My sister has lived in Denmark on a small island for 60 years now. They are completely energy independent. It was the first place I knew that had wind farms everywhere, and they all knew how much electricity was coming, what it was doing, and they have had ownership and share prices, and it's just been the way it's done, and it's kind of brilliant. But why can't we say the local energy that we produce off that hill is heating my towel rail all year round? They can report that I co-own it. It's paid to put solar panels on the roof of the community village hall, or it's paid for energy efficiency advice and deals for the other homes in our village. In fairness to the government, I do know they have acknowledged this, but we seem to have spent an incredible amount of time hand-wringing about the difficulties rather than finding the easy, appropriate ways of supporting it. I supported the establishment of the £10 million Community Energy Fund, but quite honestly, that is not very much. What we need is real reform, so the commitment made by Andrew Bowie in the other place to consulting on the barriers the sector faces when developing projects was very welcome. Which is why I've come up with this compromise amendment, which I hope that the noble Lord Callaghan feels able to accept. It would give the industry a boost to know there was something coming down the tracks on an agreed time frame. A problem we have seen before is consultations which don't receive a response or serious delays, and that's all I am trying to avoid with this amendment in lieu, which sets a generous timescale of 18 months for consultation and a further 6 months for bringing forward proposals to remove the barriers to community energy schemes. This times really nicely with the end of the 2-year Community Energy Fund and would avoid a potential cliff edge. I believe that he'll appreciate need for clarity for the sector and the need to reassure over 300 MPs, including 147 Conservative MPs, who backed the original local electricity bill, which recognised the barriers to community energy and the proposed remedies. I therefore ask him to give this House more clarity on the timescales, otherwise I may be required to test the opinion of the House.
My Lords, I just want to rise extremely briefly to support very strongly the amendments of Baroness Blake, Lord Teverson and Baroness Boycott. And if I can just say a word about Baroness Boycott's amendment, it is absolutely crazy that we've got barriers inhibiting the development of renewable energy by community energy schemes. And this amendment is a very modest proposal to ensure that those barriers are actually removed within a reasonable time frame. So I really hope that the whole House, all sides of the House, can support these 3 amendments. And as I say, I've particularly said a word about Baroness Boycott.
In terms of the noble lady Baroness Boycott's Community Energy Amendment, I had the great pleasure to actually formally move that amendment at report stage, and we saw hugely strong support, not just in your Lordship's House, but all around the country. This is, tomorrow we'll be debating the Levelling Up Bill. This is a way in which we can allow communities to take control of their own energy supplies, to provide the framework to set free huge opportunities up and down the land, and it really is a no-brainer, and I would urge your Lordship's House to vote for both of those.
My Lords, I very much support the amendment from the noble Baroness Boycott, as I did at committee. I do think the reduction that she has achieved in her ambitions sit very well with what the government has said its ambitions are, and I would really like to see my noble friend being able to support this, being able to say, yes, we really see this as an opportunity, and giving ourselves a tight but not too tight timescale within which we will make this happen is a good way to demonstrate that.
On community energy, from Baroness Boycott, she set out very clearly her proposal to commit the government to finding out what the barriers are inhibiting the development of community energy and to bring forward a plan to overcome these. It's a very modest amendment from where we were last time round, and I can see no reason whatsoever for the government not supporting it. So we'll be supporting those three amendments should the members wish to test the opinion of the House.
My Lords, I of course thank all noble Lords who have contributed to the debate. Let me start on the last issue raised from Baroness Boycott, Baroness Meacher and others about community energy. The government launched the £10 million fund. It will fund projects, to give the House an example, such as Congleton Hydro. They received £73,500 in funding from the former Rural Community Energy Fund, but this fund will do a similar job. Thanks to that funding, they're producing affordable, clean and secure electricity from a local weir. Now, Amendments 274A and 274B aim to commit to a consultation into the barriers preventing the development of community energy schemes, and the amendments set out with whom we should consult, convince government to commit bringing forward proposals to remove identified barriers to community energy. But as I referred to earlier, the government has already committed to consult on the barriers that the sector faces when developing projects, and as part of this this process, we will of course involve the community energy sector itself in designing the consultation, and we continue to believe that it is more appropriate to allow the small-scale export market to develop with minimum intervention. I know how the House is keen on supporting community energy, and we are the same. And these amendments would place an additional obligation on government to bring forward proposals to remove these barriers within a specified time frame. We cannot obviously be sure that the consultation will conclude until we have carried it out, so in our view it is not appropriate to make a commitment in respect of doing something, the outcome of which we do not know what barriers or proposals will come forward at this stage. But I would like to reassure the House that the government will continue to work closely with the sector and the wider industry on the best way forward.
Questions of the House to agree with the Commons for Amendment 274. Motion 274A, Baroness Boycott.
On the House on this very simple, good for everybody amendment.
She wants to. Good. I didn't hear it. That's why I was getting a bit confused. Good. Okay. The question, therefore, is that motion 274A be agreed to. Its members of opinion will say content. Probably not content. There does appear to be a disagreement. We'll settle it by a division and let you know when we're ready to go. My Lord, the question was that motion 274A be agreed to. There have voted content 208, not content 205. Therefore, the contents have it.